Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here, and today, guys, we are here with the first entry in our Community Cast series. So this is going to be a new series on the channel wherein we cast fan and subscriber submitted replays. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this new series, and let's get right down to the business. So this particular replay was submitted by Onion Ease. He's one of the regulars here on the channel. Definitely a really fun game, and for any of you guys who've kind of joined in on my weekly streams and watched the VODs afterwards, he is the one who actually goes through and timestamps all of the different battles. So again, I want to sincerely thank you, man. I really appreciate it, and I believe he does have a YouTube channel. So for any of you guys that are interested, go ahead and check out his channel. I believe it is called Onion Ease. Onion, O-N-I-O-N space E-A-S-E, I believe. So again, we'll double check at the end of the replay. So he's going to be playing the Greenskins, and he is going to be facing off against the Dwarfs. So definitely already a fan of his build. You can see a full front line of nasty skulkers. These guys are hidden, so they have the stock ability. So again, the Dwarves probably don't really know what's going on right now, but I'm sure they have an inkling as to his strategy here. So he does have the nasty skulkers here. Again, a really great unit against the Dwarves. They're great for flanking, getting in the back line, and are also pretty decent frontline combatants. They do have this ability right here, so if you guys take a look, it is Smoke Bomb. So negative 76% speed. So when you're facing off against like a Dwarf Lord and you kind of have him trapped, you can go ahead and use Smoke Bomb, slow him down, and then get the Arachnarch Queen, Goblin Big Bosses, anyone else on that target. So I really like that ability. Great unit all around. So he has a full front line of nasty skulkers here. Definitely, very deceiving as to his army strength for his opponent. He does also have the Arachnarch Queen. So the Arachnarch Queen is definitely one of my favorite tools against the Dwarves. Is it like... what is this? What's going on here? So I guess the Warlord's boys are like getting dragged by the spider. I've never actually seen that before. That's pretty hilarious. But anyways, the Arachnarch Queen does have the Maternal Instinct, which allows it to summon the spiderlings. Actually, guys, this game is being casted the day before the Bretonia DLC. So with the new Bretonia DLC, that ability was actually nerfed. So now it has, instead of a 5-second cooldown, I believe it was, it's 40 seconds between summons. So definitely a big nerf there, but I definitely think it was warranted because it is quite strong. On top of that, he does have a Doomdiver Catapult here. I'm not as fan of them as much lately, but I still love Doomdivers for like focusing Quarrelers and other units like that, and they're just so much fun. So he does have the Doomdiver back here, and he does have the Hammer of Gork, which is great. So I really like the Hammer of Gork. Again, these regiments of renown are extremely accurate and cost effective. They usually do a pretty good job. So Hammer of Gork right here, and let's go ahead and look. For those of you that don't know, the Hammer of Gork does have a Degrade Green Wallop. So what this, no, that's not it. Where is this ability? So it does blind the enemy troops. So again, lowers their melee offense, melee attack, and their accuracy. So if you're focusing on like Quarrelers or Thunders or something like that, it can do pretty well for you. He does have Durusty Errors. Again, a staple against the Dwarves, a very powerful unit. And then in the back line, he actually brought the Crimson Killas. So we're going to get to see these guys in action. They're very cool. They're dual wielding these great weapons, and they hit like trucks. Again, I don't know in terms of testing purposes if they're the most, cost effective, but just an awesome unit to see in action. So definitely a very cool army from Onion Ease. He does have a Goblin Big Boss over here, and let's get right into the Dawi army. So the Dwarves here, front line of Dwarf Warriors, Norgrimlings, Ironbreakers. He also has them mixed in with Miners, with Blasting Charges. So the Miners are definitely, a cheap choice against Armor Piercing. He was probably expecting a lot of Black Orcs, but still, these Dwarf Warriors and also these Ironbreakers are going to be pretty sturdy against his Goblin front line, because they actually have, what is it? Let's go ahead and take a look here. So it looks like the Hammer of Gork is hitting them, which is pretty funny. So look at that. It lowers their melee attack to 5. That's incredible. And it also lowers their melee attack to 49, which makes them, something that can actually be handled. Because without that, you guys see their melee defense is 83. So he also has some more Dwarf Warriors here, and he has Grombrindle, the White Dwarf. So Grombrindle is pretty scary. If you're able to isolate, the Goblin Great Shaman or any other Greenskin Lord and use the Flash Bomb ability, it can snare them and he can really put them in a can. So I like Grombrindle a lot. Very fun Lord and good stuff there. So he also does have the Rune Helm of Zufbar. So it's disabled if his hit points are greater than 50%. So if he essentially tanks, below 50% HP, he then buffs all nearby units with, pretty big leadership buff. And that's why you always see matches where Grombrindle and a few units are running around in the fourth quarter, and it's very hard to get him off the battlefield. So on top of that, he does have a Runesmith here. Some more Miners in the back. So definitely a lot of Blasting Charges. He does have the Dragonback Slayers who are going to be hunting that spider, I'm sure. He also has Rangers with great weapons here, Ulthar's Rangers here, and the Goblobber. On top of that, he does have 2 Quarrelers. So I really like this pick from the Dwarf player, the Rangers with great weapons, and then the Ulthar's Rangers. They're very good at taking out the Arachnarch Queen. They have 45 missile strength, and then also the Marked by Ulthar is a very nice debuff on big targets like this. So, if he does mark them with Ulthar and then focuses them with the Rangers, it might not be a bad choice, but you can see that Onion Ease actually has some Goblin Wolf Riders coming over here, so very cool stuff. So anyways, guys, my apologies for the long introduction, and let's get started with our first community cast. So over here, you can see the Arachnarch Queen going kind of rogue over here, having a little bit of fun. Definitely going to be summoning some spiders back here, I'm guessing. I think he might have been trying to get back here to try and shut down the Goblobber, but you can see, I believe he's casting, it looked like there was some sort of spell, so it is marked by Ulthar. So right now, guys, negative 22% missile resistance, 16 armor, and negative 24 missile parry. So you can see the Dragback Slayers in hot pursuit. I'm sure they're throwing some jump kicks, doing their thing. A little bit of damage going off on the Arachnarch Queen already, so pretty well played, but it does summon some spider hatchlings over here. So, you know, pretty well played shutting these guys down. You know, but again, the Rangers are in hot pursuit, and the Rangers aren't pushovers in melee, so they should be able to cut through those spiders pretty easily. You can see the spiders here being used to shut down the Slayers. So the Arachnarch Queen is just kind of running around harassing right now, kind of distracting this whole force, and that's something that's very annoying when you play the Dwarves. When your forces get like separated like this, because again, the Dwarves are very strong when they stay like high and tight, but when you get like forced to play multiple games like this, it can be very, very stressful. And the spiders just constantly keep re-aggroing those Dragonback Slayers, allowing the Arachnarch Queen to truly be a troll and ride around in the back line. So you can see these Rangers, instead of like, you know, if the Rangers were in the front line right now, they could be unloading on these the Rusty Arrows and doing some serious work, but rather they're wasting their ammo on spiders back here. So very, very well played by Onion Knees with that spider harass. In the front line, you can see the Gobos engaging with the Norgumling's Ironbreakers. You can also see the different Lords of Magic going off, the Itchy Nuisance and the Sneaky Stabbing. Definitely going to be a pretty big, you know, game changer in the front, but you can see those blasting charges just scorching the Gobos. Always one of the most entertaining things to see is when those blasting charges go off on low tier units. You can see the Gobos scurrying to the hills already. Definitely routing very, very quickly. So Onion Knees' front line, you know, as we expected, you know, is not holding up that great against Dawi, but still, you know, if you guys look at it on paper, actually, these Norgumling's Ironbreakers only have 55 models left. And over here, he's holding up really well. So again, making me eat my words right here. But this Goblin Big Boss over here doing pretty well. The Nasty Skulkers are definitely going to trade very well with Miners. Because again, Miners, they actually have weaker stats than the Nasty Skulkers, especially with that Itchy Nuisance constantly on them. So pretty well played here. You can see the Crimson Killers are coming in right now. And these guys are definitely going to unleash the fury on this Runesmith. But you can see the Goblobber back there doing a pretty good job laying into these guys. And these Grumbling Guard are going to have a bad time versus these guys. These guys are definitely the boss hogs here. But they're also taking blasting charges from those Miners over there. So definitely going to help a lot. But still, the Crimson Killer is still at a pretty healthy model count, still confident. And a lot of these Gobos are coming out of the woodworks here. So these are the Warlord's boys. They do have Armor Sundering, so another great utility against the Dwarves. And you can see the blasting charges continuing to go off. So a very heated, wild battle in the front line. You can see Grombrindle coming in here, just laying some pimp slapping on these guys. And a nice Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So very well played on the Dwarf player as well. You know, pressuring these high-value units. And that's one of the reasons why the Crimson Killers are a risky pick, even against the Dwarves, because a single Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which did get nerfed, by the way, with the new Bretonnia DLC, you know, is quite strong here. So you can see the Nasty Skulkers charging in here to back up these Crimson Killers. This is exactly what you want. You want, you know, fodder units backing up elite units. It's definitely very wise, but still a very pitched battle in the front line, guys. Over here, you can see it's going quite well. Nasty Skulkers routing off the Dwarf Warriors, but let's get to the back line. So, you know, while it might look like the Dwarves are in really bad shape in the front line here, with this, you know, Grombrindle being completely surrounded, most of the Dwarf Warriors routing off, in the back line, the Dwarf still has quite a bit. He has 2 full groups of Quarrelers. These Rangers aren't in the best health, but they're getting some great focus fire on this Arachnarch Queen, which again, guys, is 2,400 resources. So you can see on paper, you know, the balance of power is still pretty even, despite the fact that it looks very, very bad for the Dwarf player in the front line. So the Dawi here are chasing the Spider down. Definitely a wild, wild fight. It's taking tons of damage from those Quarrelers. Not tons, you know, on burst, but again, it's whittling it down very well. And the Dragonback Slayers got their axes out for Harambe. They're definitely chasing that guy down, doing their thing, and, you know, it's wavering, and it is now breaking. So pretty good stuff here. So if we go back to the front line, you can see some of these Goblin Wolf Riders who are just riding around, wavering, definitely having taken quite a beating here. And these Rangers with great weapons are probably going to take this charge pretty well, so we'll go ahead and get a nice slow-mo here. But, oh, look at those guys just get axed off their freaking wolves before they get in there. That's got to be one of the coolest kind of catches I've had in these casts in a while. But still, they're getting axed off, and they break immediately. So charging right into this volley of fire, and those Dwarf Rangers are just so freaking cool. You can also see the Quarrelers kind of providing some good support fire here. Just a wild fight all around. Some Nasty Skulkers skulking around, but the Slayers are not going to have any of their shit. And they're just going to get in there and chase those boys down. So good stuff here, guys. In the front line, Grombrindle is pretty much surrounded. He has some Miners that are wavering to this Goblin Big Boss. You can also see, what was that, the Flash Bomb, or was that the Madcaps from the Goblin? I'm not sure. I think that might have been, yeah, anyways. But, yeah, I don't think it was the Flash Bomb. What was that? Looks like, yes, it was a Smoke Bomb. That's what it was. So Grombrindle here, he's still steady, and he's just fighting off Crimson Killers. He's fighting off Skulkers. He's getting prison shanked from 5 directions, and he is just being such a gangster. So His HP just dropped below 10, I believe. So let's actually pause for just 1 second. Oh, that's kind of a cool thing. Just things flying everywhere. So can we get Grombrindle? So anyways, I guess we'll just play it. But I believe Grombrindle's Rune Helm did trigger because he dropped below 15% HP. So giving him that extra leadership hit is really nice. So that also is going to be helpful for these miners who are now confident with that plus 16 leadership. And you can see the Goblobber coming in here and doing massive damage to the Crimson Killers. So very well played by both Enemies and his opponent, who will make sure to shout out, of course, once we get to the loading screen here. So the Nasty Skulkers still coming around. These Rangers are pretty good in the pocket, though. I mean, they're shaken, but they have plenty of ammunition left, and the Althar's Rangers are, pretty strong, but they actually break. Wow, so I'm pretty surprised, but partially probably due in part to this Doomdiver Catapult continuing to pressure over here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the overarching battle. So here are the balance of power, guys. We have 448, which I'm assuming is the Greenskins and the Gobos, and 274 for the Dwarves. But again, those are pretty good Dwarf numbers here, and you can see the Slayers coming in here. They do use the Smoke Bomb, but it was a little preemptive, so it definitely missed those guys. But Jump Kicks coming in across the board. Man, the Dragonback Slayers are so freaking cool, but those Nasty Skulkers coming in with their Batman helmets, doing their thing, but you can definitely see they're going to get cut to pieces by these Slayers. So you can see they're at 74 models right now. Wow, they're actually not doing too bad against the 31, and you can also see some friendly fire coming in from those cannons over there, but still the Skulkers are going to lose this in the long run because they have leadership issues. But if they actually fought to the death there, it would have been pretty decent for them. But still, again, leadership an issue here. So he does have these two groups of Quarrelers who are now advancing. So again, they finally secured the back line. The Arachnaut Queen, it's steady though, guys. So it's back in this battle. It is definitely not out of the picture yet. A very, very close battle, very well played by both players. Quarrelers continuing to advance, and it's definitely going to be scary for the Gobos once these guys get up. But you can see Grombrindle just has no fear, like his ability infers, and he is just going to be fighting these cannon crews and just cutting them to pieces. So let's get this next chop here in slow motion. It's always great. So he's coming up with the overhead. Definitely not going to be fun for these Gobos here. They just go flying in all sorts of directions. Grombrindle is such a cool lord. I mean, he's got to be one of the best. So anyways, the cannons continuing to come in here, apply some pretty good pressure, and I believe that is the Goblobber here, which actually just ran out of ammunition. So again, it's going to be changing things up for the Dwarves. You can also see a bunch of Dwarvish units routing over here. So the Ironbreakers have one model left, and they're shattered. Some miners routing, as well as some other miners over there. So still, guys, he has these Rangers here, which are going to be very helpful at zoning out the Spider Queen, who has used all of its summons. He also has two full groups of Quarrelers, and guys, Quarrelers are basically Dwarf Warriors in melee. I mean, they're pretty resilient, so it's going to be very tough for these Gobos that are left to deal with that. But you can see Grombrindle, he's getting a little ahead of himself. He probably should have ran high and tight with those Quarrelers and these Rangers and formed a bit of a Death Star and just pushed around. But he has no time for fun and games here. He's just going straight for the throat, trying to get these Rusty Arrows off the battlefield, who are a really big threat to him, because again, he's very heavily armored. You can see when they shoot, his armor gets taken down to 88. So he uses the Flash Bomb here, which is going to, not only slow them down, but also do a leadership hit, bringing the leadership down to 34 here and down to 42 on these Rusty Arrows. So still not enough to really push them off. But the Dragonback Slayers are in hot pursuit, and you can also see these Rangers with great weapons are starting to fire in here, and also those Quarrelers are now making contact with that Arachnaut Queen. So Grombrindle, he's taking a beating though, guys. The Arachnaut Queen has 380 armor-piercing damage, so a very, very close fight. He has 500, so if he's able to get another swing or two here, he's going to shatter this, and again, he does shatter it. So very, very well played by the Dwarf player there, very well played by Onion. Again, if one or two attacks had gone a little differently, Grombrindle could have died there, and it could have been a very different situation. But still, these Quarrelers back here are, holding off this Goblin Big Boss, taking some pot shots at him, but he's got his shield up. Does he have a silver shield? No, it's actually a bronze shield. So he's going to charge in there, just leap in there and do pretty good work. But still, the Goblin Big Boss only has 45 armor, so, what is the weapon strength? So it's actually poison right now, but I believe it sits around 26 or 28. They're going to be able to wear this guy down, and the Rangers with Great Weapon are going to get in there and surround him, triggering that negative 14 attack from behind bonus, and he's going to get pushed off. So a nice smoke bomb right there to cover the retreat of this Goblin Big Boss. Very, very well played. And over here on that same coin, Grombrindle is continuing to wander. He's shaken. Man, he is, excuse me, I accidentally did that. He is so freaking low. He has 30 HP, or 30 leadership, excuse me, and 300 HP. You can see this Doomdiver crew right now. Looks like they're trying to turn their Doomdivers to start bombing him, which is pretty funny. I love when Lords get finished by Doomdivers. It's freaking hilarious. So over here you can see the Quarrelers are still in good shape. They have good ammunition. And over here, the Dwarf player does have the Greenskin player does have the Crimson Killers. Over here, he does have the Rusty Arrows. So a lot of duh going on. Oh, it's not duh Crimson Killers. It's actually just Crimson Killers for the record, guys. But definitely messed that one up. So they're going to go ahead and chase down the last of these Dragonback Slayers. But the Rusty Arrows are indeed getting routed off the battlefield. They are wavering. Up here, you can see the Gobbo Doomdiver crews are engaging in melee. You always know it's pretty desperate times when these guys are coming in. But I've actually seen quite a few games be won by cannon crews coming into the fourth quarter. So still, so he has these Rangers. He has Ulthar's Rangers who probably have that cooldown up again. So that Focus Fire is going to be quite nice. He also, yeah, so 2 Quarrelers, 2 Rangers. Grombrindle over here is fighting these Cannon Crews. Let's see, I'm sure he's going to chop these guys to pieces. You can also see they're taking Missile Fire, and looks like that one took a pretty hard shot right there. Grombrindle's cleaving them. They're wavering. They're definitely going to be out of here in just a second. So Grombrindle, again, a pretty heavily armored unit with 120 armor. So these guys, I'm sure they only have like a few armor piercing damage, if any, aren't going to be able to finish him off. So the Greenskin player does have a Goblin Big Boss over here, so it might be able to charge in and snipe out Grombrindle if it gets a really good charge. He also has the Crimson Killers. I got to get the name of all those regiments of renown down. It's kind of confusing. And the Rusty Arrows are actually able to shatter Ulthar's Raiders. So very, very well played. You can also see that the Doomdiver crew over here, is it firing right now? I think this actually still has a crew and at least 1 or 2 shots left. So these Rangers are charging in, but the Hammer of Gort crew, guys, they don't mess around. They're getting in there with 24 weapon strength. They're going to fight, and these Rangers are actually shaken. They take a Doomdiver to the face, and yeah, this Hammer of Gort crew is actually confident. Now, they're not unbreakable. I'm shocked that they were still confident at that point. They're actually able to chase off these Rangers, which is hilarious. So, you know, putting up a really good fight. You know, a lot of it is going to come down to finishing off that Grombrindle. Also, the Crimson Killers are over here, and let's see how many models they have left. They have 18 models, guys. They're still steady, so very, very wild game. Definitely one of the closest we've had on the channel in quite some time. So the Goblin Big Boss coming in for the kill, trying to like pick off these isolated guys before Grombrindle and the others can catch up. So very, very well played there, getting a nice little charge there. But still, you can see these Quarrelers in position to start firing at him, and Big Papa Grombrindle is coming in to cover. And you know, he may have some of his cooldowns up again. I think his Flash Bomb is only recurs when he's in melee, so he probably is going to need to get in on some of these guys. But you know, these crews are coming in for their last ditch effort here, definitely going to try and snipe out Grombrindle. So let's go ahead and take a look at his HP. He's down to 253, guys, and he has 139 kills, which is quite a bit for a unit that's, you know, not as mobile as you know, a lot of other units, I guess. But the Crimson Killers, unfortunately, are taking that fire, but some nasty Skulkers come out of the woodworks. They're going to jump in these guys, but they're shaken. They probably won't fight for too long, but even if they can distract these Quarrelers long enough to allow the Crimson Killers to get in here, the Crimson Killers are seriously elite frontline infantry. So if they can get into these Quarrelers and get a nice like hit on Grombrindle and finish him off, they might be able to change the tide of this game. So also that Goblin Big Boss coming in here doing pretty well, but unfortunately Grombrindle is shaken. He only has 8 leadership down to 3. He's wavering, but he's actually able to push off those guys, which, you know, again, helps with his leadership, brings him back up to 38. So that was very close. You can see the Rusty Arrow shooting in at Grombrindle. He only has 28 HP. The Crimson Killers coming in here as well. They're definitely going to hit pretty hard against these Quarrelers, guys. They have that splash damage. They have very high AP at 44, if I'm not mistaken, and they're going to do some serious work. So they're charging in here, getting some good splash. You can see knocking these Dwarves around. And let's see where Grombrindle is. Yeah, so he's running from the Rusty Arrows right now. He's down to 17 HP, 11 HP, just so incredibly close, but you can see the Greenskin missiles are wavering. So again, if they could have gotten him there, if this Goblin Big Boss could go in and finish him, this could just be such a close call. I mean, it is a very close game, but let's go ahead and see here. Is he going to get him? So the Goblin Big Boss charging in, Grombrindle coming in with the dramatic axe here, and let's see how this ends. So Grombrindle actually gets knocked down, and does he get killed? Is he at 2 HP? So he's actually at 2 HP right now. This Goblin Big Boss is grudging him pretty hard, or developing a grudge, you know, for the Dwarves, I guess. But still, Grombrindle at 2 HP with that melee defense, he's able to mitigate that attack, and Grombrindle gets a nice melee in there. He's still just not taking those blows from the Goblin Big Boss. He's wavering him, and is he actually going to break him? It looks like Grombrindle breaks him with 2 HP. That is incredible. So right now, the Quarrelers are in good shape. It looks like the Crimson Killers get routed off. And very, very well played. That was an absolutely amazing game. So thank you, Onion Knees, for submitting it, guys. And for any of you who are looking for his channel, I believe he's getting started with it. Onion Knees right here. Go check him out. Awesome player. Great game. That was super fun. So good performance from the Nasty Skulkers. It was pretty cool seeing a Great Goblin Shaman used, actually. You don't see him a lot as the Lord. Again, most people use, like, you know, not Skarsnik per se, but a Night Goblin War Boss or something like that. But still, awesome stuff seeing him played. You know, the Warlords boys got in there. The Crimson Killers took a bit of a beating, so they weren't as effective as they could have been. But look at the kills from that Hammer of Gork. That's pretty incredible. So, you know, but still 117 on that Doomdiver. So I'm sure some of those were from that crew fighting at the end as well. Over here, we do have a Runesmith, some Miners. They did okay. I'm not a big fan of Miners in general, but they make for great cinematics, guys. Very well played to Abs as well. I mean, you know, that was an amazing game. That Grombrindle coming out with 2 HP at the end. You know, Abs did an amazing job of keeping Grombrindle alive. Got a little overzealous there, but hey, guys, it worked. So I can't question his play there. I like this build. It's dynamic. I like the fact that he brought 2 Rangers here. You know, that gave him some pretty good ways of dealing with that Arachnarch Queen, who was in many ways obstructed to only 40 kills and was routed off the battlefield. So very well played by Abs also, taking that out. Incredible game to both players. 120 kills on those Dragonback Slayers. They definitely fought to the death, so good stuff there. So again, very well played to these two gentlemen here. I look forward to casting more of your game. So again, Guys, if you want to send me a replay, you can go ahead and go to my business section of my channel, or my about section, and then you go to the business inquiries email. Go ahead and send them my way, but try not to send me any one-sided replays where you just like stomp someone out, unless it's demonstrating like a really effective tactic, you know. So, but again, I guess I'll check them all out to the best of my abilities. Pretty busy, but thanks again, guys. Hope you enjoyed this new community cast series, and we will be most certainly doing more. Have an excellent night and take care.